What's up? How's it going? Back on another episode of I'm Walking Here. I'm your host, Miguel. Before I get too carried away here, I want to share with you folks, whoever might be listening or watching, that I've got, you can get a hold of me if you have any topics, ideas, or any discussions, or bitches, gripes, complaints that you want to make, points that you want to make, errors you want to point out, information you want to share, whatever. If you want to get a hold of me, you can send me an email at imwalkinghere, the number 2, at gmail.com. The folks in the graphics department put something special together for me. I don't know if you can see that. No apostrophe in I am. It's just I'm walking here, number 2. I'm walking here too. I know that was pretty ghetto fabulous, but I don't know how to do this stuff quite yet. I'm sure there's a way to like make it scroll across the bottom or flash or something like that, but that's what I got. I'm walking here too at gmail.com. Got a Facebook page. I'm walking here Facebook page. That's where I post these videos at. So you know, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see any one of the videos, but if you want to post a message or something like that, I've got a Facebook page you can go to. Otherwise, here we are at episode 3, and today I'm gonna talk about something that I just might lose some friends over, because it is a kind of controversial, I guess. Some of you guys who watch this might think that guy's a lot more full of crap than what I expected him to be, or he's even more full of crap than what he was before, or you just might say, that makes sense. I don't know, but it's it's the way I think I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I go on these walks and just a bunch of crazy stuff goes through my head, and I just got to get it out. So whether it's good, bad, indifferent, or whatever, I just get it out. But anyway, I'm really just curious what, I'm looking for some feedback, I guess, because I realize that I might be full of crap about this, but like the episode says, is rap the new crack? And in order to make my point, I've got to lay kind of a foundation of, I'll lay a little bit of foundation. So there's this thing, this theory, this conspiracy, it could be true. I mean, I don't know personally, but I mean, there's some strange coincidences that have to do with the subject of the crack epidemic, which started out in the early 80s, 90s. How it was like a systematic government conspiracy to weaken the black neighborhoods, black families, that sort of stuff. It's come up a couple of times in different conversations and under different situations and circumstances, and it's come up so much it's got me thinking. But once again, just to give you a little substance, the theory is that back in the 80s, right, when Nicaragua had the supposedly there was crack cocaine, whatnot, being funneled in from like Nicaragua, and some of that stuff was being funneled into black neighborhoods in Los Angeles with the help of like the CIA. And there's this journalist who like exposed the whole story. he exposed the story in the newspaper, and even wrote like a column series on it, and kind of exposing the whole thing. And once again, the theory is that it was like a U.S. government based idea, to weaken. The focus was to weaken black families, but weaken minority families, but the focus was really to weaken black families and the black family. And geez, I'm all winded and stuff already. So yeah, the question is always, like, why was that a thing? It's like, well, as long as black folks are weak, then they don't have any power in this country, and it's more likely that they'll maintain or retain their bad reputation, and less likely to elevate themselves to any position of power or authority. Depending on who you talk to, there's always going to be two sides to these sort of things. Depending on who you talk to, some people will say that's blatant lie, completely false, and others might say, yeah, see, that makes sense. Yeah, I read that too, or whatever. They'll be completely agree. And in my minimal research, Google searches and whatnot, what I learned is that, like, the guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy that wrote this series, like, he was blacklisted by his peers, right, the journalists, and lost his job, couldn't find work anymore. But later, like, it started coming out that there was like a guy who used to work for the government says, yeah, there's some truth to that. And another one of his, like, I don't know if it was a coworker or a peer or a friend, came out and said that his losing his job and his being blacklisted was, it was like the story was too much. They're like, we got to cut this guy off. And this peer came back and said, he apologized and he was wrong for doing it. Well, by the time he came out, and these two stories came out, said that there might be some substance to this dude's, this guy's articles. He had already killed himself. He'd committed suicide. I guess the pressure was too big for him. But anyway, that is the nuts and bolts, the Reader's Digest, just blow through the version of that, the crack epidemic theory / conspiracy that it came about to weaken the black family, the minority neighborhoods, keep poor people poor, keep black people poor, which I think coincided with prison reform and keeping black folks in prison and keeping them on the welfare and all that stuff. Okay, so if you're familiar with that stuff, I'm just beating a dead horse. If you're not familiar with that stuff, I recommend that you educate yourself and look into it yourself with kind of an open and an objective mind, because if you made it this far, then you're at least curious or interested in the subject matter. So I would take that same curiosity and dig a little deeper. and then you believe what you want to believe. But that kind of brings me to my next point, which is, if you can believe that something like drugs and, you know, crack, or if you could believe that one thing came about to weaken the family structure, weaken the family, right? The black family, or weaken, or weaken, I keep saying weaken, but I don't think it's weaken is what I mean. It's like discredit, make weak, keep down. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But if you can believe that, is it a stretch to believe that maybe rap music, today's rap music, the stuff that's popular nowadays, the top 40 stuff that you're hearing on the radio that these kids are listening to now, younger generations are listening to now, is it too much stretch to believe that this stuff is doing the same thing? Now, the reason I say that is, and I realize I might be showing my age here, and maybe I'm being a little nostalgic or whatever, but you know, growing up small West Texas town, you know, we weren't living in the hood, but we weren't, you know, we weren't rich. We weren't even really modest means people, you know what I mean? Like, there were days we didn't have electricity and we couldn't pay the water bill, and we had to sell our food stamps for gas, that sort of stuff, you know? We were on food stamps. And at those times, we had hip-hop music to listen to, and the music of the hip-hop is what we related to. What I related to. I say we because I'm talking about me and my brothers. You know, I got 4 brothers. Actually, I have 5 brothers. But at the time I was growing up with 4. And hip-hop music is what we listened to, and it's what we related to. And at least for me, I can only really speak for myself personally, but at the time, like, hip-hop music was saying something. It was talking about stuff. It was talking about people who were struggling just like we were, and talking about how life is hard and life is a hustle, and you got to keep with it and get ahead, to get up and out, right? And a lot, you know, Public Enemy, KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, even Tribe Called Quest. I wasn't really a Wu-Tang, Method Man, Redman listener. I didn't really listen to those guys. Slick Rick, The Ruler, Run DMC-ish, Kumo D. But these guys, you know, these guys were talking about, you know, hustling, the way we used the word back then, you know. We talked about it back then. And not to say that I wasn't a hustler. I mean, I didn't know shit about shit. My other brothers, they were hard, man. Especially my older brother, he was hard. I was not on his level. There were things that he was doing that I was not doing. But that doesn't mean it wasn't happening. It doesn't mean that I didn't see it. It didn't mean that, you know. But that's what hip hop music was about back then. And the stuff that's on the radio now, these guys, they're not saying anything. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying anything. And once again, I could be way off, because I don't listen to it all that much. About the only thing it's good for are the beats. You know what I mean? And but as someone who likes and appreciates hip hop music, the music is so much more than just the beats. The music is about the story. Even NWA, man. MNWA was saying stuff. It was a whole lot more. I mean, I could see how people could get it confused with what's going on right now, talking about, you know, dropping N-word. I'll never use the N-word. Never. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sound too uppity because it's not like I've never used the N-word before. I was a kid, but I won't do it anymore because I know what it means. I know what it stands for, and it ain't gonna happen. But NWA was dropping the N-word, but they were talking about it. N-words for life. I won't say it. But they were talking about why do they call themselves that? And they were explaining it, you know? And it was hard, and it was rough, and it was abrasive. And it was angry, and it was aggressive. But they were telling the truth. They were telling a story. They were explaining it. They were educating people, you know? Educating people who didn't know better. And for their music specifically, it was a lot more than just the beats. You had to listen. Hip hop music is deep, man. Hip hop music is deep. For those of you who weren't around back then, talking about a whole lot more than just beats, and they're definitely to me, it just seems like the music nowadays is lost, you know? And what I mean specifically, you know what, I realize I just on a long ass tangent, but what I mean is today's music's all about having stuff, making money, and having girls, women, bitches, right? Okay, hold on. I know I sound stupid when I say it, but just bear with me. Honeys and hoes. Honeys, hoes, money. You know what I mean? And stuff. And then the female rappers, what are they talking about? They just they're looking for the same stuff. Stuff and money. Stuff and money. Stuff and money. Junk and money. Material and money. And it reinforces itself. Guys just want junk, and they want cash. Girls just want guys who have junk and want cash. And there ain't no substance there. You know, they're not talking about nothing. You know what really frustrates me about these guys is like, how can you have 10 best rappers? You know what I'm talking about? Like all these rappers, they come out and they say, I'm number one, I'm the best. Best there ever was. Says who? Because I just got listening to another track by another guy that said he was the best. And then 2 tracks ago by another guy who said he was the best. Which one of you guys is the best? Because y'all sound like shit. I don't know who's making your beats. It's pretty badass, but your lyrics are whack. Your words are whack. You're not saying anything. You're not saying nothing. Ugh. Hip-hop was about making the world a better place. It's about showing you it's about giving you a peek behind the curtain, telling people how bad, how hard it is to live and grow up in these neighborhoods, in the hood. I sound like I'm so full of shit, dude. And I do apologize, man, because I know I'm going to share this video with some friends of mine who really did struggle, and I really don't want to sound like I'm coming from a place like I read it out of a book, because I get it, I know, you know, But it's getting lost. The message is getting lost. There was a time when, you know, it was about making everybody better, right? And everybody across the line together. But nowadays it's just about number one. And which you know, I mean, I will say this. For these rappers, these artists, and these performers, I can't hate on them, you know, because they're making their money. They're making their money the only way they know how. Okay, make that money. Ain't nobody gonna be mad at you. I'm not gonna be mad at you. I'm definitely not. I'm not gonna be jealous. I'm not jealous of any of these guys. All I'm saying is, in a time, jeez, can't see nothing. There we go. In a time where it seems like there needs to be a little more unity. You know what I'm saying? UNITY. In a time when it seems like there needs to be a little bit more unity, there might be one too many people strictly looking out for number one. And that ain't making anybody better. I mean, it might be filling your pockets. You might be lining your pockets. You might be buying the bins. You might be doing all that other stuff. And that stuff might be good for you now. But eventually, at some point, and maybe you won't have to. Maybe these guys won't have to. But there are people that are living in a world where living in a world ain't easy, you know? It's not just black folks struggling. It's not just Mexican folks struggling. Poor people are struggling. There's more and more poor people in this country, and it ain't got nothing to do with working hard. And it doesn't have everything to do with making bad choices. You know, people say, you're just too dumb. You just don't work hard enough. Well, that might be true, but there are not tons of opportunities for poor people to get ahead, for people to elevate themselves. There aren't a lot of opportunities. If that were true, then everybody would be doing it. If that were true, it's not. And if you think that's true, if you think it's a matter of just making good choices, and if you think life gets better just by making good choices and working hard and discipline, which are three of the most important things to have and to do, but it don't work like that for everybody. Life ain't easy for anybody, so it shouldn't be an excuse for anybody. All I'm saying is, sometimes, and it's especially true for poor people, and it's even more true for poor people who are non-white. Okay, and it's nothing against white people, man. I hope you know, if I got any white friends watching this video, I'm not being anti-white. I'm not being reverse racist. I'm not being all that stuff. I can't be, because if not for white people, white folks, right, then my family would not be here, right? It was good white people that gave my family, my grandparents, my parents, my dad, gave them the break that they needed to be able to make it in this country. So my beef ain't with white folks. My beef is with folks who believe that all you need to get ahead in this country is to make good choices, work hard, and have discipline. Because even though that might be true, it's definitely not the end all be all, and it's especially not the end all be all for folks that are poor and Latino, black, living in poor neighborhoods, in the hood. I'm gonna walk into the projects and be like, look, man, hey, you know, if you guys would have made better choices, each and every one of you guys, you know, if each and every one of you guys would have worked harder, you wouldn't be here. You can't say that to those people, man, because some of the people that live in the projects, some of the hardest working people you ever meet, but yet they still find themselves in the projects, and you have to ask yourself, why is that? So anyway, but let me also say this. I believe in handouts. I believe in hands up, but not handouts. So, I mean, and that hand up over hand out kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about, or yeah, with what I'm talking about, like about rap music and the crack epidemic. Is I believe that if we make ourselves aware that maybe these things are happening, we can start looking out for each other, making this world a better place, not just for black folks, not just for Mexican folks, not just for immigrants, legal immigrants, not just for those people, but for everybody, all American citizens, period. But we got to stop thinking individually. You know what? I think it's even more accurate to say this. Because, once again, I'm not going to be mad at the guy who's putting words to music and selling it. You know what I mean? To the guy or the girl who's doing that, who's making money off of that. I'm not gonna be mad at that person, right? But we have to. What's even more important than that is that we have to tell our kids. We have to tell these young people that's not real life. I think there might be one too many young people who think that's real life, and that's the meaning of life. Stuff and money. When those of us who got sense know that there's a whole lot more. There's a whole lot more to it. There's a whole lot more to life. There's love. There's justice. There's freedom. There's liberty. There's community. Definitely. There's accountability. Wait a minute. Did I just go back to episode 1? There's all that stuff. Those are the things that are important. That's the sort. That to me was what hip hop was about 20-ish years ago. That to me are the messages that are gone, seem to be lost. Now there are one or two artists that are doing all right. I've heard a couple of guys hold it down with 1 or 2 songs. I heard it myself personally. And you know, I mean, right now for like, I'm gonna name drop here, for people like Nicki Minaj, Drake, and what's the other guy? Kendrick? No. Doesn't matter. These are black labels. These people started their own labels. That means they're pushing their own music. I could be way off. Once again, I could be way off the mark. There could be a whole lot more to it. Send me an email. Let me know where I'm wrong. But in my slim little research on this one topic, these are black-owned labels with black-only artists talking about spreading these messages, spreading this story. Am I off? Is that what's important now? Is that the culture now? What am I missing, man? Because I thought it used to be about getting everybody up and over the hump. You know what I mean? Getting everybody up and over the hump. Not just me. I don't know. I could be way off, and I really, if you've made it this far, I'm tons grateful because it's 30 minutes in. I try not to make these longer than 30 minutes. But you know, shoot me an email or message me on the Facebook page or comment right here on this thing and tell me what you think, man. I'd like to talk to you about it, I guess. You know, discuss it. I'm curious. But if you can believe that the crack epidemic or something like drugs was put in place to break down the family, I don't think it's a far leap to believe that there's a different method to break down the family. And it's in our music. Music is powerful, man. Music is powerful. And I just watched this stuff and was like, for real? Is this the message here? I don't know. You guys tell me, man. Tell me what you think. I'm walking here. Facebook page. I'm walking here. Email. I'm walking here too, actually. I'm walking here, number 2 at gmail.com. Talk to you guys later. God bless.